Chicos, chicas, ¿cómo están? ¿Qué os cuenta la vida? Aquí Vampire con novio, bacanal. Esta vez estamos en otro episodio más de Genshin Impact. Y bueno, si recordáis en el episodio anterior, hemos ido justamente a donde estamos ahorita mismo, que son las áreas subterráneas de Fontaine, para justamente reunirnos con lo que es la oficina central de Spina di Rosula, que de hecho hemos aprendido un poquito más acerca del pasado de Navia, todo acerca del caso de las chicas desaparecidas, o bueno, un preámbulo de eso, porque al parecer el padre de Navia, un tal el deshonesto, Calas, algo así se llamaba, pues ha estado investigando ese caso y lo silenciaron poniendo evidencia en su contra. Y pues ahora ella es la que está interesada en este caso y nos ha invitado justamente a pasar un rato en lo que es su oficina central, que se ubica justamente en este lugar, en las alcantarillas de Fontaine. Así que vamos a darle inicio a todo esto, vamos a descansar un ratito, ya apenas iniciamos, estamos descansando, ZZ y todo eso. Pasó una noche tranquila bajo protección de Spina di Rosula. Y justamente por eso es que dejé el episodio allí, porque sabía que inmediatamente iba a haber una cinemática.
This place feels almost too safe. Huh? Navia? Where did the other two go?
¡Perrete!
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina di Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters. There's not much for them to do here at the moment.
Tienes un perrete. Esa es toda la seguridad que tú necesitas.
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back. But never mind that. When did you get back? Were you waiting here the whole time?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigating yesterday regarding the name Vache.
Claro, Bacher es el nombre que estaban diciendo mucho en la fuente esa en donde hemos hablado con una testigo, bueno, una víctima de lo que es ese caso de las chicas desaparecidas.
Wait, so you didn't sleep at all?
How could I after having such critical new evidence appear?
Navia no entiende, porque yo también me quedo así despierto cuando tengo información importante de algo que estoy investigando.
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for everyone just now, huh?
Aunque a veces siempre termino durmiendo a las 1 de la mañana. 25
Unfortunately,
horas.
this name seems to have been wiped from existence. It doesn't seem to have a match anywhere. I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But that does prove that this Vache person is a key witness in the incident.
Ya, no encontró a Bacher en los registros de Fontaine, lo cual eleva mi teoría de que Bacher sea un animal, una mascota.
Does that mean we're too late, though?
No, there is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would find almost impossible to threaten. And that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Navia. A place where detailed files on all the cases in recent years are kept.
Del Estado.
If the Osea that you met is one of the young women who went missing recently, we should be able to find some related information there.
Tiene que estar de toda la gente que ha desaparecido por ese caso.
So Nervalet maintains an archive of case files? Whew. Guess that's the hard-working Chief Justice for you.
Es el fucking juez, tiene que hacer su trabajo bien.
In that case, let's go talk to him, shall we?
¿Qué sucede?
Aren't you coming along, Navia?
Es una mala idea que vaya a preguntarle a Nubilet. Ay, Nubilet, compadre, ¿puedes darme algún archivo del caso ese de chicas desaparecidas? Uno que diga el nombre de Bacher. Solamente necesito ese archivo. ¿Crees que eso sea una mala idea?
No, it's nothing. Let's go see the Honorable Chief Justice.
Eso porque todavía le pega el hecho de estar en esa zona. Por el simple hecho de que, bueno, como su padre ha pedido un duelo para defender su inocencia, pues todavía le golpea bastante eso. Muy bien, ¿ahora qué tengo que hacer? Porque me han parecido como 2 misiones allí al costado. ¿Tengo que hacer una misión de mundo o qué? No, ok, menos mal, ya me estaba preocupando.
The palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Vamos. Hay que hablar directamente con Newbie. ¡Hey, yo! Quiero entrar. Quiero hablar con Newbie. Es urgente. Vale, gracias. Tenía que hacer eso. Que estoy yendo full un Ginget. Ya lo dije desde el inicio. Para esta misión de Arconte yo voy a ir full un Ginget con todo. Por allá.
Halt! Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official matters.
Solo venimos a saludar.
The This place does look pretty heavily guarded. Guess that proves that Nervalet's files are really secure.
Bueno, tampoco es que estén a la vista de todo el mundo en un registro público o algo parecido. De hecho, creo que ni siquiera los casos en mi país están en un registro público.
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you might be related to. Our rules make no exceptions.
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. Paimon can tell.
If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy, so please leave if you don't have a reason to be here.
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago? We were at the trial of the great magician Linny.
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Linny's attorneys. It's all coming back to me now.
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business. You can trust us.
Yeah, oficial.
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Thanks so much.
Dios mío, estas... se llaman melusines, ¿no? Sí, creo que se llaman melusines, esa clase de especie por allí. Pero son recontra fáciles de engañar, o sea... por esta zona hay un ferrobús, o sea, hay un de esos puentes eléctricos, metros, como le digan en sus países. Y pues, tú por esta zona de acá puedes saltar en cualquier momento. Puedes saltar en un momento y las melusines no van a hacer absolutamente nada para evitar que tú cometas el peor error de tu vida. Pobrecitas, en serio, pobrecitas. Están tratando de hacer bien su trabajo, pero como que no pueden hacerlo por lo tiernos que son. A ver, llamemos a la puerta. ¡Ay, up! ¡No voy!
Please come in.
¡Chévere! ¿Cómo está el newbie de toda la alma? ¿Ah? ¿Qué tal?
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Nervalet. We only lied to get in because...
Sí, estamos hoy en un apuro.
Hey,
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of assistance to you.
Queremos un autógrafo de su parte.
so you're not mad at us?
We're looking for a man called Vache. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may be able to unearth some key information on the case.
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse through the files.
Who knew that Nervalet would be so easy to talk to?
Sí, no como otros. Dos mil años más tarde.
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vache has been involved in any case, criminal or civil, in the past several years.
Estoy insistiendo, Bacher es el nombre de la mascota de la víctima. Pero claro, nadie en su sano juicio pondría en sus archivos el nombre de la mascota implicada entre, bueno, ya saben, los nombres de la gente relacionada a la víctima o al victimario de todas maneras. Creo que, como son mascotitas, por Dios, son inocentes por defecto. Excepto cuando se llaman princesitas.
There are no records of him either in the files
Allí sí
or
son
in my
culpables.
memory.
Pues a nada.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right then. Thank you so much, Monsieur Neuvillette. We'll take...
Ahem.
Es por la ayuda, newbie. De todas maneras.
Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Calas, was a truly exceptional man. We deeply regret his passing.
And what are you trying to say, Monsieur Neuvillette? Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? Or just express some tendril of regret? No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only said those things because you felt like you should. It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you as a last resort. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws you hold so dear. If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you call a stop to the duel? Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die, despised and hated by all? Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiniest effort could have changed everything. There are still so many things I never got to tell him. So many questions he still owes me answers to. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will show you the true meaning of regret.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart and never say a word to anyone.
También solía ser así.
It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well the apathy of the Chief Justice. My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
Tranquilo, newbie. Estoy seguro que Navia no es la única persona que lo odia. Al igual que Ayaka.
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's raining.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active trials today. How strange.
Sí, aparte es domingo, aunque claro, cada vez que voy a la universidad, una de dos, o no está lloviendo o está lloviendo. Hasta que...
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder, it was also raining.
La lluvia.
What is it? Did you think of something?
¿Lo de tu padre ocurrió en un lugar interior o exterior?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? Do you think the rain could have affected the crime scene? That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value.
En ese momento les faltaba un dato importante.
Oh? Wait. You don't mean...
La gente se podía convertir en agua.
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water? And then got washed away with the rain?
Claro, también tengo que tener en cuenta eso. Bacher pudo haberse convertido en agua. Lo debieron haber silenciado antes de que nosotros supiéramos de su existencia.
Yeah. And if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained what he saw to the authorities.
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're completely right. All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom of my father's case for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time.
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later?
A ver, voy a lanzar una moneda y lo que termine sucediendo puede ser la opción que elija. Cara, no hay tiempo que perder. Sello, que vea yo primero y luego lo alcanzamos. Salió cara, no hay tiempo que perder. Vamos ahora.
Let's go then.
Vale, estamos en Poison, una zona en la que estuve hace poco por un evento que tenía pura cinemática sin voice acting y por eso no lo grabé. Así que un poco conozco esta zona, eso tengo que admitirlo. Se puede ir en el agua, tal vez acá sí tengamos algo de exploración, por lo menos en lo que la historia principal refiere, cosa que dejó mucho en deber lo que es el tema de la misión normalita esta. Voy a activar este punto de transporte. Y continuemos por acá, el mirador. Para ver cómo es la zona. Hay como un barco ahí al fondo. Y la casa de allí tiene como una forma de ancla. Cosa que puede servir bastante para la investigación del caso. Tal vez eso sean pistas importantes, qué sé yo. Acá todo es importante.
What a huge ship! Why would a ship be anchored at a place like this?
Lo mismo digo.
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, it's actually Spina di Rosula's headquarters.
La antigua sede.
My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally had in common. A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
Interesante.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a glorious past. Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewers. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself, she's been convinced.
Sí, pero también están un poco ocultos en una cueva, así que tampoco es que puedan estar al aire libre. Ahí, fin al cabo, son una organización que investiga casos que son recontra peligrosos. Son solamente miren lo que le sucedió al padre de Navia.
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all. It's our main base, our home.
Muy bien, hablemos con Melus en el barco. O sea, todavía tienen otras personas trabajando en esta organización. Y aquí está un montón de polerinos. Y hay un evento ahí por acá que podría jugarlo ahorita, podría jugarlo no ahorita. Lo que pasa es que si es que lo juego me van a mandar a otro lugar que esté lejos de aquí. Así que mejor continúo y tal vez para cuando ya acabe el video, allí sí voy a probar esa vaina, que es de contra divertido de hacer, aunque tal vez sea un spoiler bien grande de la mecánica, una de las mecánicas principales que ofrece Fontaine en esta parte de la aventura. Bueno, ni tanto, que es algo que se desbloquea, te haces el acto 1 y ya está, ya puedes nadar de manera libre. Pero de verdad, es recontra chido y le da un gran value a lo que es el tema de la exploración, por lo menos en esta zona, en esta región. Que no sé si es que lo van a terminar añadiendo a otras regiones como Sumeru, Inazuma en particular, porque esa zona es literalmente puras islas. Así que creo que vendría bien también esa mecánica, pero más allá de eso sí, chido. Hablemos con Melus.
Melus, we're back!
¿Encontraron algo?
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners.
No hay problema.
You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson so quickly?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, what if my father's case had something to do with water from the primordial sea? You still remember, right, Melus? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible murders.
¿El culpable podría ser la misma persona?
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Sí, los detalles, por favor. Y sé preciso.
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity in Poisson.
Sinte, viene de síntesis, sintetización. Claro.
At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant hallucinations.
Ayahuasca.
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to produce some kind of potion?
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial sea. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotions.
Igual que la ayahuasca.
And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. It's an extremely dangerous substance.
Básicamente una droga.
As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and called for a complete ban of it.
Hold on a minute. O sea, tu padre no solamente era el jefe de operaciones de Spina di Rosula, sino también era un político corrupto de la alcaldía. Bueno, como que ya estoy teniendo un poco menos de simpatía con tu padre, Navia.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath, But no matter how much they threatened or bribed him, he refused to yield.
Retiro lo dicho. Él se comportaba como todo un buen político colombiano en la época de los 90.
Not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers, all of whom only sold the stuff and weren't privy to the rest of the operation. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. Finally, he was able to convince someone to become his informant. The man's
Informante.
name was Jacques. He felt
Jacques.
greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse.
Jacques Rougeau.
That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information with Jacques over some food. But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was already dead on the ground.
Huh? How did that happen? Aren't they on the same side?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive at all. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene.
Claro, la ropa pudo haber sido del asesino.
Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used to disguise himself at the banquet. But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired.
Otra vez la tercera persona.
You're right. We still don't know what happened. But my intuition tells me that we're on the right track to figuring it all out.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned on Boss with 0 warning. I think this third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, I must still offer a word of warning. Our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost his life trying to bring them to justice. Even though Spina di Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives. There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Boss's wishes to step back and give up on the case.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that himself. Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect anything in the end?
Poison está en una época de paz. Creo que ahí está tu respuesta.
Synth is still here. Calas the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely getting by. Nothing has changed. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly? I've never accepted that, ever. Not since that day, and certainly not now. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls, for the victims, and for myself.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, demoiselle, I think you're also ready to take this on.
So you do know something else, Maloose?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances case.
Gracias por decirlo, Melus. Eso es recontra importante.
But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
Claro, porque allí ya tienen una garantía para amenazar a Calus, de seguro.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had no more than 5 years left to live.
Cáncer.
And the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. But once he passed away, all the danger would pass on to you. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side, and even told some members of Spina di Rosula about the details. But as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victims.
Right, so nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
Cosa que me parece raro, porque si eso sucediese pensando como, ya saben, series criminalísticas, más que nada cualquiera que esté enfocada en Colombia, pues al toque yo iría a atacar, al toque yo atacaría. Pero, claro, tampoco es que me haya visto episodios enteros del Patrón del Mal.
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick to me.
Fase 1, negación.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful was still far preferable than losing face in front of his daughter.
So he chose to die in silence, so that he could protect me.
Fase 2, ira.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, Demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was not a parasol, but a sword.
Esa es la actitud.
If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer for the sake of everyone involved, I'm sure he'd be extremely proud.
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me straight? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him.
Fase 3, negociación.
Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now?
Fase 4, depresión. Te dio la oportunidad de elegir. Navia, ¿eliges ir a la fase 5, aceptación o no?
Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived out my life without a care in the world.
Y fase 5, aceptación.
But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me an easy way out. Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where Synth is produced. Essentially, it's the enemy's headquarters.
Una fábrica de Sinte.
When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the incriminating evidence he found. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still have to take several things into consideration.
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming in?
Esto no es como con la fábrica de engaños que había en Inazuma. Así que es una jurisdicción diferente.
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization that's been in operation for decades. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence we may be able to find inside. No, but a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war.
Exacto.
The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also open ourselves up to full retaliation.
Terror. Eso es lo que temían, ¿verdad?
Then, in that case,
Los tienen amenazados. ¿Es correcto, Melus?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
Exacto.
That's true. Seems my father really had no choice. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with the disappearances case.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Malus.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss and Demoiselle's will. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets, performing basic investigations, and waiting for the right time to come.
Thank you for all of that, Malus. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula, or at least have an informant planted here. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe the reactions of the synth vendors.
De hecho, me llama la atención que el tipo con lentes de ojos oscuros no esté en esta parte de la cinemática.
If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then someone must have given them the news. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down to 3 people. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Hay un creador de Geometry Dash que también se llama Florent. Y estoy esperando a tantas ganas sobre eso porque dijo que regresaría en el 2.2.
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was someone who understood Boss really well. Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus avoid capture this whole time.
Y más que nada, el hecho de que sea el consejero es una postura de poder bastante fuerte, en especial para los que son enemigos nuestros, o sea, los traficantes de agua primigenia. Cosa que les vendría de contra bien saber a alguien de tanta alta estima, tan alta estatus, y pues esto allí obtener la información más clave.
There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
La cofradía Cabriere, ¿podrías explicarme un poco de eso?
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence.
El contador, allí es donde inicia la corrupción.
In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around with a lot of business connections in the city.
Por cierto, shout out a Christian, mi pana contador, que hace poco se ha graduado.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us with plenty of support. It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money to hunt down themselves.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities.
Claro.
Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically always plan one step ahead.
I see. These are all people who I communicate with quite regularly.
Y todos en posiciones claves. Teniendo en cuenta un poco cómo es que funcionaban esas series de criminalística, yo los ordenaría en guardia, el consejero y de ahí el contador, en ese orden.
To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is extremely cautious.
Of course. And thank you, Malus.
You're too kind, my lady. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame in Jacques' death. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson today. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make the necessary arrangements.
Aw, thank you so much, Malus. You really are the best.
A new case awaits, my dear partner.
Eso parece.
I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
Detalles del caso de Calas. En aquella noche lluviosa de hace 3 años, los asistentes al banquete escucharon 2 disparos. Cuando llegaron a la escena, Calas tenía un arma en la mano y Jacques yacía muerto en el suelo, con un disparo de bala. Según el informe de aquel entonces, no había indicios de que alguien más hubiera estado en la escena del crimen, por lo que Calas fue declarado culpable de homicidio. Bien, 2 cosas importantes que decir. Primero, duro de que la organización esta sea peligrosa. No creo que Hoyover sea tan atrevido como para recrear algo que ha dañado a una nación durante los 90. Y sí me estoy refiriendo a todo esto del negocio de Pablo Emilio Escobar y el Popeye y todo lo demás. Ya saben, lo que hacen muchas series ahora último. Bueno, de hecho, hace mucho que no hacen esa clase de series, pero han sido bastante populares en el 2012, 2015, esos años. Incluso hay una serie de narcos allá en Netflix. Y segundo, Navia va a terminar el banner permanente, ¿verdad? Anyway, como sea, voy a dejar el episodio hasta acá antes de iniciar con lo que es la investigación correspondiente del caso. Más que nada porque creo que tendría más sentido avanzar con los testimonios de los demás implicados más adelante. Cosa que tendría más sentido por el tema de correlación y con el tema de que me estoy quedando un poquito sin tiempo. Así que vamos a tratar de hacer lo posible para esquivar a la familia de Jacques. Y vamos a dirigirnos justamente a donde está el desafío para acabar el video. Que para así mostrar de paso justamente cómo es la mecánica esta que han añadido en Fontaine. A ver, si es que voy por acá. Estoy suficientemente lejos de la familia de Jacques, cosa que está bien. Ahora, voy a caer aquí al agua y verán que estoy flotando, pero no me aparece justamente la barrita esa de estamina que hay en el agua usualmente cuando estás nadando en alguna que otra región. Incluso aparece una cosa que está por encima mío. Bueno, cuando le doy al botón de control, me sumerjo en el agua. Ahora soy un fucking buzo. Y esto justamente tú controlas con las teclas, con el weas, con lo que sea que use ese movimiento. Y justamente va hacia el movimiento. De hecho, la barra explosiva ahora es para que tú subas. Y el control es para que tú bajes. Por lo menos, si es que no estás apuntando hacia abajo o estás apuntando hacia arriba. Esas son también opciones, pero son bastante incómodas de usar. La cosa es que vamos a activar esto. Y vayamos por las corrientes y submarinas. Cuidado que no quiero empeorar el récord que tuve. Creo que este es uno de los desafíos donde tuve un pésimo récord. Cosa que está bien entonces para tratar de mejorarlo. Aunque también es que hay algunos que me los hice de recontra perfect. Y pues no tengo que preocuparme por eso. De hecho ya hasta reclamé todas las recompensas. Menos el Bennett que eran gratis. Porque todavía no quiero tener a Bennett C5 hasta obtener a Carejada. Casi esquivo justamente esa wea que me da velocidad. Ese anillo de aro velocidad. Estamos en la fosa Elton, que está más de contrabajo. Tampoco estoy desbloqueando lo que es la zona completa por flojera más que otra cosa. Pero lo estaré desbloqueando. Casi golpeo esa pared de allí y me bajaban tiempo. Porque eso sucede cuando golpeas esas weas que aparecen. De hecho, incluso tuve que hacer una misión de mundo para poder acceder a este eventito. Más que nada porque al final te ponen esta mecánica de estar allí en el agua y yendo turbulentamente. Hay un cardumen de peces, lo que significa que llegamos, desafío completado. 1.25, nuevo récord, excelente. Salgamos de aquí y con esto despido el episodio. Si os ha gustado pueden darle like, compartirlo con mi amigo que sea fanático de las series criminalísticas, que esté obsesionado con las series estas de narcotraficantes y que también estos sean sims de Navia. Todo eso es para incluso los sims defensores de New Bilete, que voy, que le han manchado mal en este episodio. Pero nada, ya en el siguiente vamos a hacer lo que es el cuestionario a la gente implicada en el caso para averiguar quién es el verdadero topo, quién es el verdadero informante, quién es el verdadero sus en todo este caso. Y nada más que decir, hasta aquí Vampire y nos vemos en el siguiente video.